Hello developers, my name is Shay, and this is another episode of Shay Develops. Hopefully you guys stick around and learn something, because today we're going to be talking about the for loop in Java. Probably one of the most used loops in Java. So let's go ahead and talk about the for loop. It allows us to iterate through some code, either a set number of times or an unset number of times, depending on what do you know about the variables that have been input into it, right? So let's go ahead and create a for loop. So a for loop has a few parts. So the first is this counter variable. We're going to use integer, I is 0. And then the second is the conditional statement. Now this is going to evaluate. It's a sum statement that evaluates to true or false. And if it's omitted, which you can omit, this part right here is always going to be true. And so therefore this for loop will run forever. But we have, what we'll say is I is less than 20. It's going to continue to run. And this last part increments our counter. It can decrement it too, but we're going to make it increment by using the ++, and that will add 1 to the counter every time. So let's go ahead and output what that might look like. Actually, just make it shorter. We'll just do counter. And we'll see that iterate and output the, oh, I can't type today. There we go. And output counter and what the value of the counter is. Let's go ahead and run that. And we'll see we got counter 0, 1, 2 to 19, which makes sense because we started with I equals 0. And as long as I is less than 20, we're going to run whatever's in this for loop. But each time we run it, I gets 1 more added to it. It's incrementally increased each time the for loop is ran. So as the for loop gets ran, I starts from 0, goes to 1. But 1 is less than 20, so it prints it out again. Let's go ahead and make this a little bigger. And as you can see though, so we start from 0 and go all the way, like I said, down here to 19. So it runs 20 times because from 0 to 19. All right, let's make it do something, a little better than just count something. Let's have it sum up an array of integer values. Now we haven't talked about arrays yet on this channel, but there will be a video that I coming up about arrays and multi-dimensional arrays, stuff like that, so we can get even more out of the for loop. But so let's go ahead and create our integer array, which will use that by setting the type first, the data type. And if you've watched my video on integer, we know that the int is a primitive data type. And we use the square brackets, open and close, to state that this is an array of values, meaning that we have multiple values stored within this variable. So we'll do my array equals, and we'll give it some random values. And then since we want to sum up all the values, let's create another integer called sum. And the reason we're creating these values outside the for loop is because if we created them inside the for loop, if we wanted to use them outside the for loop, Java wouldn't let us do it. It would give us an error saying that you're not allowed to do that. So we're going to go ahead and output the sum is sum. Now we're going to change from iterating from 20 times to myArray.length, and that gets, let's actually just output this. I'll show you exactly what you get. myArray.length, it outputs how big your array is, so how many values are inside of it. So we'll go ahead and output that, or go ahead and run this and I'll show you. It says 5, which is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. However, though, if we want to talk about an array's index, indexes start at 0, and we'll go in more in depth at that as I come in and create the new video on arrays. However, just to show you guys real quick, this will be an index of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So because I is 0, that is technically the first value in an array. So we can use our sum equals sum plus my array, the index of that value, and then we can add it. So what's going to happen, go ahead and erase this real quick. So what's going to happen is we're going to run through the for loop, and it's going to pass because I is 0 and 0 is less than 5, and then we'll add well, actually we won't add 1 just yet to our 0, or to our counter. We're going to take the sum from here that's already 0, and then we're going to add 24 to it because the first value in the array is 24. Now sum equals 24 and I still equals 0, but now as soon as we get done running the array, or running the for loop, I is going to get incremented by 1. So now I is 1, and 1 is still less than our array length of 5, so it continues and runs the loop again. So now sum is 24, so we add 24 plus my array index of 1, which is the second value, which is now 76. So sum is now 100. And then we'll keep going through that until we run out of numbers in our array. So we can make this array as big as we wanted to, or as small as we wanted to, and it'll always run the code. So let's go ahead and run this. And we can see our sum is 130. Nice even number. Did that on accident. But now you can hopefully see how you can use an array to get some stuff done. So if you wanted to like find out all the prime numbers, or based off of a given value, or do, I said, a multitude of things. And we're gonna, as I make more videos, I said I'm gonna come up with more exciting ways to use these loops. But for right now, we're gonna stick to the basics. And there's actually another thing called an enhanced for loop. So in order to show you guys that, let's create an array of strings. So we'll do string array, we'll call it names equals, and let's give it some names. Say Shay, Tim, and Richard. And now we can do a for loop, and it's actually called a Foreach, but for now we're going to refer to it as an enhanced for loop. So we have our Foreach. I don't like the way that syntax that, so let's go ahead and back that up. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to say it's a string name names. So what's going on here is it's saying for all the names, we're going to pass each one into the string name that while we're running it through the for loop. So as we run this, it's going to go, this person is Shay, this person is Tim, this person is Richard. It's going to go through and iterate through each value in that array, and then output them to the terminal. So let's go ahead and run this. And you can see that here. Shay, Tim, and Richard. And that's how you used an enhanced for loop. And if you wanted to, you could actually nest for loops together to do even more. And we'll have some examples on that whenever we talk about arrays, whenever our video on arrays comes out, and I'll show you guys that in more depth. Alright, but hopefully you guys understand how to use for loops. You at least get the basic idea. Stay tuned for more in-depth and harder examples in the future. So if you guys would like to help me out, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification icon. I know everybody asks for it, but it really helps. And if there's something I can help you with, help you learn, because that's why I create these videos, is to help other people, put that in the comments and I will do what I can to create a video on that. Hopefully stick to the Java language, but if not other stuff, I also know web development and some different coding languages throughout there, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I can help you guys out in that part. Also, if you want to really help me out, I have a self-published book on Amazon called HTML5 Learning and Reference Guide. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's $2.99. You can pick that up. You can learn all about the HTML5 elements, their attributes, the values of those attributes, and how they're used, and get a really good guide on how to set those up whenever you're creating your web pages or whatever. Alright, but until guys, the next video, which is going to be on arrays, I'll see you then. Hope you guys take care. Y'all are awesome. Peace.